Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy, India's largest e-learning platform. Today, we will start with the historical background as a part of crash course. On our Unacademy platform, you will get number of options to start your preparation with India's top educators. Now, you can attend live classes on daily basis. You can interact with the faculties. You can ask your doubts online. Along with that, here we structured the courses according to need of examination, right? UPSC's requirement will fulfill all those criteria and will give you the best courses on our platform. When you will attend the courses, after that, you can evaluate yourself through our live tests. Plus, you'll get option to unlimited access. So, unlimited access means you can watch our live and recorded lectures as per your convenience. So, download Unacademy's learning app through Google Play or App Store and start learning. My name is Rishikesh and I am having vast experience to guide UPSC aspirants from last 8 years. Here, we are 100 plus top educators will guide you throughout the process, right? When you will start your preparation with general studies, optionals, it's up to you. We will guide you throughout the process. For example, for your preliminary examination, main examination, and personality test as well. As per requirement of number of students, aspirants asking for the various module-wise courses. So we have all the courses like polity courses, polity governance and IR, history, current affairs. So for the UPSC CSE, we have complete course structures. If I'm talking about all modules of general studies are available on the platform, plus optional subjects are available, NCRT summaries, answer writing practice, all these sessions are available. So you can enjoy all these sessions. Now, if I'm talking about subscription part, you can opt for plus subscription. So what is mean by plus subscription? Where you will get live classes, test series, unlimited practice, structured schedule, all right, on the plus platform. So you can opt 12-month subscription, right? So after the using code RBI Live, you will get 10% discount. So do not forget to apply the code RBI Live for the plus subscription. Those candidates are preparing for 2 years or 3 years, like they are planning to appear for the prelims in 2022, 2023. So they have best option of our iconic subscription. All right. So in iconic subscription, what you will get? You will get each and everything of plus course like live classes, test series, unlimited practice, structured schedule, plus you'll get extra benefits like personal coach, which is the most important part throughout your preparation, who will guide you, who will prepare your study plan like daily, monthly. We will guide you for that. We will evaluate all your progress and will let you know. Plus, you will get daily mains question and answer practice, because answer writing is the most important factor throughout the preparation. So you will get study planner and personalized feedback. So you can opt for the iconic subscription as well. So for the total 12-month subscription, 24-month subscription and 36-month subscription. According to your choice, you can opt the iconic subscription, and do not forget to apply the code RBI Live to get 10% discount. So you will get discounted structure on iconic subscription. Now, after your general studies part, Those candidates are wish to start their preparation with optional subject. Whatever may be your optional subject, we have almost all optional subjects available on our platform. So you can join the optional subject as well. My suggestion is that you can go for at least 12 months subscription for the optional subject. If I'm talking about your attempt, you are going to appear for the preliminary examination in 2022, then you can start your optional as well. So it will take appropriate time, and you'll get sufficient time to finish your optional. Like within 1 year, you can complete your syllabus, revision, and test as well. So go with the 12-month subscription and use the code RBI Life to get 10% discount. Right now, as I told you earlier, yesterday we started with the introduction part of the polity. We have seen previous year's questions in the last lecture. Now today we will start historical background. All right. Now, if I'm talking about polity, so what is meant by polity? Polity is a structure of government, right? Or governance, administration. Plus, this is the important discipline which covers the topic like constitution, fundamental rights, all the topic of constitution and governance. So, we have started polity crash course, and today we'll see historical background. Before that, we will start today's lecture with the information of history of British era. As we know, Britishers came to India as a traders in during 1600 period. They came to India as a traders, and East India Company was incorporated during this period. Now, establishment of East India Company under the Charter Act, that is Royal Charter Act of 1600. Okay, so Britishers came to India as a traders, and they have started their business in our country. Now, what happened? Queen Elizabeth from the Royal Charter Act of 1600, and it's laid down the Constitution of East India Company, which will describe the powers of East India Company, and there are all those how they work. There are all regulations in the Constitution of East India Company. Now, if I'm talking about this, so there are members of the company, they incorporated general code. Remember guys, Britishers came to India as a traders as per the Royal Charter of 1600 in England, right? Then all the members of the company incorporated general code, and they formed court of directors. So general code incorporated court of directors, and they are responsible for business of the company, that is East India Company. Got it? So ultimately, what happened? Business of the company, day-to-day business, governance, discipline, and each and everything handled by the court of directors. All right. So if I'm talking about Indian laws, so we can describe it in two manners, which is the pre-constitution of India and post-constitution of India. So here, today we will start with the topic pre-constitution laws. All right. So if we will describe it into two parts. All right. Pre-constitution laws into two parts. Part one is the company rule between 1773 to 1858, and part two, the crown rule between 1858 to 1947. All right. So Today we will see part 1, that is the company rule 1773 to 1858. Alright. Now, if we'll bifurcate part 1 into these acts. Alright. So the duration of the company rule if will describe like the Regulating Act of 1773, the Act of Settlement 1781, the Pitt India Act of 1784, the Act of 1786, that is, and then the Charter Act started. So Charter Act of 1793, 1813, 1833, and 1853. So in today's lecture, we'll see all these acts. Like we will finish part 1, that is the company rule. Now, we'll start with the first Regulating Act of 1773. So friends, here the word regulating reflects the idea of this act. So like British Parliament decided to regulate the work of East India Company because when the Britishers came to India as a traders in 1600 hours, sorry, 1600, during the time of 1600, they started their business. After that, what happened? First, in India, there were initially they started business from Surat and then Madras. After that, they spread their business throughout the country. All right. Now, what happened during 1767? The Battle of Plassey and the 1764 Battle of Buxar changed the all power of British government, that is East India Company, and the law, day by day, the law authorities and British Parliament changed the laws for East India Company. Now, in 1773, they formulated a Regulating Act of 1773, in which British Parliament was started regulating or you know taking control on the affairs of East India Company in India. Right. So it's all about the control. So objective, if I'm talking about objective of this law, so there are 3 to 4 major objectives like control of administration, all right, then eradicate of corruption, decentralization of power, and administrative reforms. These are the major 4 objectives. And to fulfill these 4 objectives, the act is laid down with the features. If I'm talking about political and administrative functions of the company is also under scan. And central administration, that is administrative reforms. Yes. Now we'll see features. So Regulating Act 1773. So according to these objects, first of all, they designated Governor of Bengal as the Governor General of Bengal, and they created executive council 4 members to assist him. So what happened? Now they changed Governor of Bengal as a Governor General of Bengal, right? So Governor General of Bengal are assisted by 4 members. So it's like that. So there are 4 members will assist Governor General of Bengal. And first Governor General was Lord Warren Hastings. Lord Warren Hastings was first Governor General. Now, what happened about after that? So there are different, in that era, three presidencies working independently, like Calcutta, Bengal, headquartered in Calcutta, then Bombay and Madras. In this regulating act, governors of Bombay and Madras presidencies subordinate to the Governor General of Bengal. Right. So Bombay and Madras presidencies will subordinate to the governor of Bengal. And earlier they were independent of one another. So they are ruling and they are conducting their business independently. But after this regulating act, they changed the structure. Now, there is one objective to set up Supreme Court in India to regulate, or you know to authorize the power of judicial power and administrative power. All right, so judicial powers over the administrative powers. So establishment of Supreme Court at Calcutta in 1774. It is a part and objective of a Regulating Act 1773. The structure was one Chief Justice and three other judges will help him to conduct the day-to-day activities. Right. So establishment of Supreme Court at Calcutta. So what happened? East India Company's matter will resolved by the Supreme Court at Calcutta. This is a part of Regulating Act. Now, as I told you, one of the objective is to segment the corruption, right? So the servants of the company from engaging, it's prohibited, right? So what happened? The servants of the company, they are doing their own business or private trade and accepting presents and bribes from the natives. So according to Regulating Act 1773, they prohibited all such activities, all right, after the 1773. Now, if we are talking about overall control, ultimately what happened after Regulating Act 1773, it strengthened the control of the British government over the company, that is East India Company. And the court of director was directly report, right? So all day-to-day activities of revenue, civil, military affairs in India, they was reporting to court of directors directly. So this is the Regulating Act of 1773. Now, after that, next, as we know, when any parliament is enforced any law, what happened after the few years, we need any changes according to their practical use, right? So amendment is required for that. If I'm talking about amendment in that Regulating Act of 1773, the British Parliament observed that need there is need to change the, I mean to say, amend the act. Okay. So there is the act of settlement known as Amending Act of 1781. All right. After 7 to 8 years approx, they amended that act, and this act of settlement is few objectives, like features of this act is now Governor General and Council. So it exempted the Governor General and the Council from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. As I told you, British Parliament was passed the law Regulating Act, and they have decided to they already established Supreme Court at Calcutta. Now, under this amendment, they exempted the Governor General and the Council from the jurisdiction of Supreme Court. But which type of acts? Now, I'm talking about there are different acts they are done by them in their official capacity. Similarly, they exempted the servant of the company from the jurisdiction of Supreme Court for their official actions. For example, they are taking any official action, so there is no, I mean to say that particular act is exempted. All right. So servants of the company, I mean to say it's exempted the servants of the company from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court for their official actions. All right. Now, the feature of this act is it excluded the revenue matters and matters arising in the collection of revenue from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. All right. Now, so yes, Pratik. Yes. I mean, we'll cover that part as well. Now, we are amending Act of 1781, that is Act of Settlement. If we are talking about more remaining features of the act, so it provided that the Supreme Court was to have jurisdiction over all the inhabitants of Calcutta. It also required the court to administer the personal law of the defendants, that is, Hindus were to be tried according to the Hindu law and Muslims were to be tried according to the Mohammedan law. Right. These are the features in the Act of Settlement. Then this act laid down that appeals for the provincial courts could be taken to the Governor General in Council and not to the Supreme Court. So if there are cases from different provinces or provinces courts, so if anybody wants to appeal against these provincial courts, so these matters taken to the Governor General and in council, not to the directly Supreme Court. This is the amendment. And now this act empowered the Governor General in council to frame regulations for the provincial courts and councils. So ultimately this act empowered the Governor General. Right? Now, if after these two acts, next act known as Pitt's India Act of 1784. Yes, Pitt's India Act of 1784. So we'll see few features of this act. Now, from 1773, British Parliament started, we can say, interfere or started regulating East India Company, right? So now in 1784, Pitt's India Act, the like features of this act is it distinguished between the commercial and political functions. Keep in mind, guys. So Pitt's India Act feature like it distinguished between the commercial and political functions of the company, East India Company, right? Now, under this act, it allowed the court of directors to manage the commercial affairs, but created a new body called Board of Control to manage the political affairs, right? Now, if I'm talking about commercial affairs related to all business and everything, these matters handled by direct, right? So directors, court of directors, all these matters handled by court of directors. And if I'm talking about political functions, so they created a new body, Board of Control, to manage political affairs. Thus, so this is known as a system of double government, right? So court of directors and board of control, they have their own verticals to work, right? Now, this Pitt's India Act of 1784 empowered the board of control to supervise and direct all operations of the civil and military government or revenues of the British possessions in India. So here, board of control to supervise all activities related to collecting tax, military actions, law and order, each and everything under the control of board of control, right? Now, so ultimately, what happened? This Pitt's India Act 1784 was significant for these two reasons. That is, the companies, East India Company's territories in India were for the first time called British possessions in India. So this is intervention from the British government, that is British Parliament. So companies' territories, East India Company's territories in India were for the first time called British possessions in India. And second, the British government was given the supreme control over companies' affairs and its administration in India. So, under this Pitt's Act, British government was given supreme control. Earlier, what happened? There is no any direct control on the affairs, day-to-day affairs of companies, India, East India Company's affairs in India. But after this law or act, British government was given the supreme control. So each and everything to be under the control of British government. Now, if we'll see, the next is Act of 1786. In this historical background, if we are talking about remaining laws, so that is the Act of 1786. Now, during the period 1786, Lord Cornwallis was appointed as the Governor General of Bengal. So there was, the impeachment of previous Governor General of Bengal, and then in 1786, Lord Cornwallis was appointed as the Governor General of Bengal. Now, there was, before appointing him, he demands few, conditions in front of British Parliament. And these demands like Lord Cornwallis should be given power to override the decision of his council in special cases, right? And he would also the commander in chief. So these are the two demands accepted by British Parliament, right? And they appointed Lord Cornwallis as the Governor General of Bengal. And in this second, that is, these two provisions like override the decision of his council in special cases and commander in chief, these are the two provisions accepted, and Act of 1786 was passed. Now, after the regulating act, if we are dividing this, acts, so there are regulating acts, and second, if we are talking about the acts, that is Charter Act. All right. So Charter Act of 1793. We'll see next. Yes. Yes, Indu. We'll continue with the historical background. This is a part one. That is, yes, pre-constitution laws. Yes, we are just studying company laws, right? So, Charter Act of 1793. So here are the features of this act. So what happened? See, before 1773, East India Company is acting as a supreme power, right, and authority in India. But after regulating act, British Parliament started supervise the all activities of East India Company. And the Charter Act of 1793 extended extended the overriding power given to the Lord Cornwallis over his council to all future governor generals and governors of presidencies. So, what happened? Earlier, there were limited powers to governor generals and governors of presidencies. Charter Act of 1793 extended the overriding powers. All right. Then, governor and this act gave the governor general more powers and control over the governments of the subordinate presidencies of Bombay and Madras. So earlier there was a freedom, I mean to say independent authorities, but under this act, it gave the more powers to Governor General. Right. Now, again, in this act, extended the trade monopoly of the company in India for another period of 20 years. As we know, East India Company, so they're doing trade throughout the world, and now under this Act of 1793, trade monopoly of the company in India extended for the period of next 20 years. Right. Now, this Act, Charter Act of 1793 provided that Commander-in-Chief was not to be a member of the Governor General's Council unless he was so appointed. So there is one provision in this act. So Commander in Chief was not to be a member of the Governor General's Council unless he was so appointed. And this act laid down that the members of the Board of Control and their staff were henceforth to be paid out of the Indian revenues. So these features of this act passed by the British Parliament. Now, after that, there is next Charter Act of 1830. Right? 1813 Charter Act was passed, and features of this act, that is, earlier what happened, monopoly, I mean to say, if the farmers, it's all about manipulation of Indian farmers by East India Company. So according to the different recommendations, and various experts recommended the situation of Indian farmers and all that, then what happened after that, this about, I mean to say that this Charter Act of 1813 helps indirectly to British rule, I mean to say British Parliament or British merchants to enter into the territory of India. Earlier there was monopoly of East India Company, but under the Charter Act of 1813, it abolished the trade monopoly of the company in India. That is, the Indian trade was thrown open to all British merchants, right? So trade monopoly of East India Company was abolished, by this act. And but there are exceptions. Okay, in this trade. So if I'm talking about tea and trade with China, these are the two exceptions for this monopoly. So that the monopoly of the East India Company or the trade in tea and trade with China, these are the excluded. All right. So remaining all the trade open to all British merchants under the Charter Act of 1813. Now, under this act, it asserted the sovereignty of the British Crown over the company's territories in India. So, friends, remember this thing. So, it asserted the sovereignty of the British Crown over the company's territories in India under the Charter Act of 1813. Now, this Charter Act of 1813 allowed the Christian missionaries to come over to India for the purpose of enlightening the people. If I'm talking about educational institutions and spreading of Western culture, if we are talking about Christian missionaries started their schools and their institutions in India to enlightening the people of India. Okay, so this act allowed Christian missionaries. They started their work in the various part of country like Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, and various parts of the all provinces. Now, so under this act, it started, various colleges, means education system. If we are talking about, so it provided for the spread of Western education, that is rising of English culture, we can say, among the inhabitants of the British territories in India. And this act authorized the local governments in India to impose taxes on persons. Now, the power of local governments in India authorized, I mean to say, to impose taxes on persons, and they can punish the persons for not paying the taxes. I mean to say, under this act, local governments started their collection of taxes, and if anyone not able to pay the tax or refuse to pay the taxes, then local governments can punish them. So this provision under this act. Now, next is Charter Act of 1833. Now, see, already British Parliament started centralization in British India. Correction, centralization in British India. Earlier, East India Company was doing their business and trade throughout the India in different parts. But after 1773, 1773 they started, British Parliament started supervising all the matters and activities of British India, East India Company, and under the Charter Act of 1833, this is the final step towards centralization in British India. Like, if we are talking about features of this act, it made the Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India and vested in him all civil and military powers. Remember, guys, the Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India. Now, it's under the Charter Act of 1833. And now empowerment of, we can say, empowerment of Governor General, right? And Governor General of India West has all powers of civil and military affairs. And the act, so this is the first time act created, or and ultimately government of India, that is Governor General of India, but having the authority over the entire territorial area possessed by the British in India. So this is the important act, Charter Act of 1833. Now, when the act was passed and Governor General of Bengal, they just, we can say it's a, in current era it's like a promotion, we can say. Okay, so this is, we can say, Governor General of Bengal is now overruled. It started ruling throughout the India, means the all territories and areas possessed by the British India is under Governor General of India. And Lord William Benedict was the first Governor General of India. All right, Lord William Benedict was the first Governor General of India, and under the Act, Charter Act of 1833. Now, these are the features of this Act. It provide, yes, it deprived the Governor of Bombay and Madras of their legislative powers. Means the Governor General of India was given exclusive legislative powers for the entire British India. So earlier, as I told you, independent presidencies conducting their day-to-day activities. But under this act, the Governor General of India was given exclusive legislative powers for the entire British India, and the laws made under the previous acts were called as regulations. While laws made under this act were called as acts. So this is the difference between regulations and acts. Now, it ended the activities of the East India Company as a commercial body, which become a purely administrative body. So it ended activities of East India Company as a commercial body, and which become a purely administrative body. It provided that companies' territories in India were held by interest for His Majesty, his heirs, and successors. Now, this is the Charter Act of 1833 attempted to introduce system of open competition for selection of civil servants, and stated that the Indians should not be debarred from holding any place, office, and employment under the company. So East India Company hiring Indian citizens as well. So this Charter Act of 1833 introduced a system of open competition. But what happened? This provision is mentioned in the Charter Act, but this provision was negated after opposition from the Court of Directors, as we have seen the role of Court of Directors. Right. So this Charter Act mentioned provision for open competition for selection of civil servants. But this provision was negated after the opposition from the Court of Directors. So basically, Court of Directors wants all the day-to-day administrative works and higher authorities with Britishers only. That's why they oppose this provision, and this provision was negated. Now, we'll see next Charter Act of 1853. Yes, Amit, we'll see all this crown rule as well. Sorry. Yes. Yes, we'll cover. Yeah. In the part two, don't worry about that. So, historical background comprises parts two. So, today we are just studying part one, that is company rule and laws. So, Charter Act of 1853. Yes, guys. So, this was the last of the series of Charter Acts passed by the British Parliament between 1793 and 1853. Right. So, we can say this is a significant constitutional landmark. So, earlier there was a regulating acts, after that Charter Acts. So, this is the last, you know, this was the last of the series of Charter Acts. That is Charter Act of 1853. Now, we'll see features of this Charter Act of 1853. It separated for the first time the legislative and executive functions. So, legislative and executive functions separation. All right. Functions of Governor General's Council. So it's separated for the first time the legislative and executive functions of the Governor General's Council, and it provided for addition of 6 new members called legislative councillors to the council. So there is addition of 6 new members. In other words, it is established a separate Governor General's Legislative Council, which came to be known as the Indian Central Legislative Council. So that is Indian, that Legislative Council. And this legislative wing of the council functioned as a mini parliament. So, adopting the same procedures as the British Parliament. All right. So, just will revise the first feature of Charter Act of 1853. So, this Charter Act separated for the first time the legislative and executive functions of the Governor General's Council, and it provided for the addition of 6 new members called legislative councillors to the council. Yes, Amit. It's addition, right? Yes, yes. Now, how we can say, so in other words, it established a separate Governor General's Legislative Council, which came to be known as the Indian Legislative Council. This legislative wing of the council functioned as a mini parliament, adopting the same procedures as the British Parliament. Right? Thus, legislation for the first time was treated as a special function of the government, requiring special machinery and special process. So, under this act, there are few provisions I mean to say, significant constitutional landmark mentioned in this act, and enhanced, I mean to say, they have this particular legislative wing of council functioned as a mini parliament. Right. Now, this Charter Act of 1853 introduced an open competition system of selection and recruitment of civil servants. The right. So there are two types of services, which is the higher level services and lower level services. So now there was one committee, Macaulay. Dear student, Macaulay committee, known as the Committee on the Indian Civil Services, was appointed in 1854. Right. So this particular act introduced an open competition system of selection and recruitment of civil servants. The convened civil services was the throne open to the Indians also. And the committee, Macaulay Committee, that is the Committee on Indian Civil Services, was appointed in 1854. Now, under this act, it extended the company's rule and allowed it to retain the possession of Indian territories on trust for the British Crown. So, here is the company's rule. It extended, this act extended the company's rule and allowed it to retain the possession of Indian territories on trust for the British Crown. In the next part, we'll see all the rules of British Crown as well, that is Crown rule. So, but in this particular act, it did not specify any particular period, unlike the previous charters, like 15 years period, 20 years period. So there is no any specific, there is no, this act, there is no any mentioning of particular period. And this was a clear indication that the company's rule could be terminated at any time the parliament liked. Means East India Company's East India East India Company's rule could be terminated at any time the parliament liked. Depend means decided by that particular act. So at any time of movement, East India Company's rule will abolished, and under this act introduced local representation in the Indian Legislative Council. Earlier, what happened? The representative in India, I mean to say, overall, all functionaries from Britishers only. And under this act, first time local representation in Indian Central Legislative Council, and the 6 new legislative members of the Governor General's Council. 4 members were appointed by the local provincial governments of the Madras, Bombay, Bengal, and Agra. So this act started, we can say, participation of Indians. That is local representation. I mean to say, from their settlements like Madras, Bombay, Bengal, and Agra. So ultimately, East India Company rule and their each and every act under the scrutiny of British Parliament. So they started interfering all the functions of East India Company. So this is all about part 1 of historical background. If you have any doubt, you can ask. So today we have finished all these acts, right? So in this part 1 of the company rule between 1773, we have covered the Regulating Act, the Act of Settlement 1781, and the Pitt's India Act of 1784, the Act of 1786, the Charter Act of 1793, 1813,